Hey YouTube, James from the Wyvern Watch here, and welcome to another deck profile. This is my latest deck. This is deck number 49. No idea what deck number 50 is going to be at this point in time, but I'm sure something will take my fancy at some point soon. But this one has always sort of drawn my attention because the Gizmek cards have come out in several different sets throughout the last sort of 4, 5, 6 sets, maybe older than that to be fair, so not in the last few, but obviously before, 5 or 6 before 2023 maybe. So lots of these cards have come from different sets, and it's just gradually, slowly but surely been improving and taking its own form, I should say, into its own deck. So this is my take on it. I've sort of, accidentally picked these up on most circumstances. They've actually come through as secret rares. Some of them have come through as super rares. So they're relatively easy to pick up. But over time, after you open a few boxes of each set, you tend to pick up these cards, and then all of a sudden you end up with a deck. And this is sort of how it's happened, but it's just the artwork on these cards. The Gizmek cards themselves are absolutely ace. Orochi is probably the one that's everyone's more familiar with. I think this is sort of used in a few different decks, if I'm honest. So this is sort of the one I chose to use as the cover card, just to sort of pull the attention to an actual Gizmek deck rather than just an addition to a different archetype. And obviously it leaves us open to all sorts of machine support that we can use, including of course Platinum Gadget here. So we'll come back to Platinum Gadget soon. But onto the deck profile. So this is my list. Like I say, I'm not going to say it's perfect. There aren't many sort of lists out there to sort of compare it to. So we're going to start things off with Gizmek Orochi, of course. Like I say, everyone's relatively familiar with it. So this card is in your hand or graveyard as a quick effect. You can banish 8 cards from the top of your deck face down and special summon this card. You can banish 3 cards from your extra deck face down and target one face-up monster on the field and destroy it. And you can only do that once per turn. So it's just a very easy summon of a level 8 monster, of course. With what's important, of course, is that the attack and defense are all the same figure, because that's what sort of gets their effects going. But yeah, level 8, and this is obviously the dark variant. There's a few different attributes, which is quite important when I get to a certain card. But yeah, they all basically have different attributes, and everything else is pretty much the same. So second 3 of is Gizmek Arakami, the Hog. So if you control a machine monster whose attack equals its own defense, you can special summon this card from your hand, and you can banish this card from the graveyard and target one machine monster you control whose attack equals its own defense, and send one machine monster from your deck to the graveyard whose attack equals its own defense with a lower level than the targeted monster. And if you do, the targeted monster gains attack and defense equal to the level of the monster sent to the graveyard times 100. Bit of a mouthful that, but very, very basically quite simple. You just send another Gizmek monster, because all their attacks and defenses equal each other, with less attack and defense than this one, and then that also their targeted monster, and then obviously they gain the attack times 100. Fairly simple once you get your head around it. But that's Hog. Obviously, the special summon itself is an easy 3 over on that one then. And then Gizmek Inaba, which is the rabbit of the deck. They all sort of take their own little forms, don't they? But another really sweet looking card. So when this card is normal summoned, you can special summon one machine monster whose attack equals its own defense from your hand in defense position. So again, a bit of an extender. You can banish this card from your graveyard and target one machine monster whose attack equals its own defense. This turn cannot declare attacks except with that monster. Also, its attack and defense become the combined attack and the attack and defense become the combined original attack of all machine monsters you currently control whose attack equals their own defense. Again, a bit of a mouthful, but it's just attacking, just making sure you can't just lump loads of machine monsters and expect to get massive attack power increases. That's it for the 3 elves. We're on to 2 elves. So Gizmek Uka, or yeah, I think it's probably Uka. This is the Festive Fox. Well, this is one of my favourite artworks actually. This is sort of the one that sort of drew my attention to it. Really like some of the detail on the armour and stuff there. So that's kind of what got me into potentially building it. But each time your opponent normal or special summons a monster, inflict 300 damage to them. You can only use each of the following effects of Gizmek Uka, the Festive Fox, once per turn. If a monster is special summoned from the main deck, except during the damage step, you can special summon this card from your hand. And if this card is normal or special summoned, you can target one face-up monster your opponent controls, special summon one monster from your hand or deck whose attack equals its own defense with the same attribute as that monster. So again, that's quite important because obviously there's multiple different attributes in the deck. This being the earth one, you've now met the dark, the water, the wind variant, and now the earth. So you can see, depending on what the opponent's using, more often than not, you've got an option to use that effect. Gizmek Makami. This is the ferocious fanged fortress, the wolf of the deck. So we're up to level 6 now, but this is again a wind variant. While 6 or more of your cards are banished, you can normal summon this card without tributing. So obviously you can potentially do that after using Roach's effect. You can only use each of the following effects of Gizmek Makami, the ferocious fortress, fanged fortress, once per turn. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can discard one monster and add one monster whose attack equals its own defense from your deck to your hand, except Makami. And if this card is in your monster zone is destroyed, you can shuffle 6 of your banished cards into the deck. So it's quite good for recovery, of course, after banishing 8 cards in order to get Orochi. But of course, the normal or special summon without tributing is also quite nice. We then got 2 of the Toad, and more awesome little artwork this one's got. The mobile intellect. It looks like it might be intelligent as well, in fairness. So if this card is normal or special summoned, you can take one machine monster whose attack equals its own defense from your deck and place it on top of the deck. You can banish this card from your graveyard and target one machine monster in your graveyard whose attack equals its own defense and special summon it in defense position. You can only use the effect once per turn. Fairly obvious choices there, but again, an earth variant there. Another one of the newer effects, or the newer monsters, I should say, is the Sunrise Signaler. Naganaki, yeah, I think it is. So you can tribute one machine monster whose attack equals its own defense. Special summon from your deck one machine monster whose attack equals its own defense with a lower level than the tributed monster. You can banish this card from your graveyard, add to your hand one banished face down machine monster whose attack equals its own defense. You can only use the effect of Naganaki once per turn. So again, nice little search function and getting back some of those banished cards. So that's it for the 2-offs. The last of the Gizmek monsters, I've got 3 one-offs. Just so we're running most of the names, and of course I've got fire variant. I've now got the light variant and also another water variant. So there's options there for the previous effects. So the stag, so Kaku. If this monster is in the extra monster zone, you can special summon this card from your hand. So if a monster is in an extra monster zone, you can special summon this from hand. You can only target one face-up monster in the extra monster zone. Equip that face-up monster to this card, max 1. When this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can special summon one of your monster cards equipped to this card. So actually, yeah, sorry, it's in the extra monster zone, so you can do it from your opponent's monster as well, which is quite nice. Gizmek Yatta. So this is the sort of, I don't know, is that an eagle? Might be an eagle, Vanguard, the Gleaming Vanguard. You can special summon this card from your hand by tributing one normal summoned monster. You can only use each of the following effects of Yato Vanguard once per turn. And during your main phase, if this card was normal or special summoned this turn, you can immediately after this effect resolves, normal summon one monster. And if you do, you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of the turn except monsters with the same original type as that monster. So it locks you into machine types basically. And if this card is special summoned by its own effect, is tributed, gain 2,050 life points. Hence it being at 1, probably not the strongest one in fairness. And Gizmek Okami, you can pay 1,500 life points to destroy all monsters on the field that are special summoned from the extra deck. Also, you can only attack with one monster this turn. You can only use each of the following effects of Okami once per turn. So if 2 or more monsters were special summoned from the extra deck are on the field, you can special summon this card from your hand. And if this card in your possession is sent to the graveyard by an opponent's card, you can banish one monster from your opponent's graveyard, then gain life points to its attack. So a little bit of life point jiggery pokery there as well. So that's it for Gizmek monsters. That's my lineup anyway, certainly take on it. And what I've decided to do, or trying to do, is also add a Therion package. So not a massive one. We've got 3 regulars and 1 Lily. Now most of you will be fairly familiar with these cards, but I just thought they might work quite well. Obviously their attack doesn't unfortunately meet their defense, otherwise that would be super. You may as well call them Gizmek cards. But it's just the fact that obviously they're very easy special summons. They're all machine types, of course. Well, apart from Lily, of course, she's the one rogue of the deck, if you like. But it's just that they can keep special summoning cells, equipping to each other. You know, if you're familiar with the Therion package, then I thought it might make a good addition. We got then, sorry, that's the dog in the background. I think he might want to go out. We got Sacred Scrolls of the Gizmek Legend. Sorry about that, just had to sort the dog out. During the main phase, you can excavate the top 3 of your deck, and if you do, you can add 1 excavated machine monster whose attack equals its own defense to your hand. Also, banish the remaining cards face down. You can only use the effects of the scrolls once per turn, and each time a machine monster whose attack equals its own defense is normal or special summon, place 1 counter on this card. And while this card has 10 or more counters, neither player can activate the effects of monsters on the field whose attack does not equal their own defense. Now, as to how much we actually use that effect, I'm not entirely sure, but the first effect, of course, is probably the one that you will be using, but that is great little artwork there as well, just with the little scroll down the right hand side. It's nice that it's in Secret Rare as well. Talking of Secret Rare, we're into Small World. This works really well. I think most of you are fairly familiar with Small World, but given that it's only the attributes really that are different on most of the monsters, it works, obviously works quite well. So you can go ahead and special summon 1 from the deck, reveal 1 monster from your hand, choose 1 monster from your deck that has exactly this one of the same type, attribute, level, attack or defense, and banish the reveal monster from your hand face down. Then add 1 from the deck to your hand. Add from deck to hand. Not special summon. 1 monster that has exactly one of the same type, attribute, level, attack or defense as the monster chosen from the deck, and banish the card chosen from the deck face down. You can only activate 1 Small World per turn, so I just thought that might work really well in this particular build. Want to work out how exactly it works. And another one that's popped up and I thought that's a good idea is Urgent Schedule. So again, a quick play spell. So if your opponent controls more monsters than you do, special summon 1 level 4 or lower and 1 level 5 or higher Earth Machine monsters from your deck in defense position, but negate their effects. You cannot declare attacks the turn you activate this card except with machine monsters. If this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can add one level 10 machine monster from your deck to hand. You can only use the effects of Urgent Schedule once per turn. So it's one level 4 or lower and one level 5 or higher Earth machine monsters, which just flicking through them, you've got the level 7 Fox, which is quite useful for the 5 or higher, and a 4 or lower you can get the Toad. Wasn't there another one? No, that's it. And anyway, I just thought that, you know, getting the 2 summons out there is going to be a nice advantage. Talking about quick play spells, we've also got a couple of limiter removal, which again, it's not most people know what that one does, but just 2 of those. And we've also gone for double extravagance on this one. So we're not using the extra deck an awful lot, so there are options in there. But you know, getting the extra 2 draws is more important, so extravagance is in there. I suppose these could be prosperities if you really wanted to sort of ramp it up a little bit, but I'm fine with not doing that at the moment. And then the last 2 off is just the 2 Therion Discolosseum. So just to go obviously in line with the Therion package with the Regulus and the Lilies. Just a couple of those. And then just 4 one-offs. So Call by the Grave, Foolish Burial, Change of the Heart, and Reasoning. Obviously, Reasoning is going to work out really well because all the levels are pretty much different. I'm not sure what your opponent might declare when you ask to pick a level, but you've got a pretty much answer for most levels on there. Call by the Grave is obviously fairly useful. Foolish Burial, there's a number of targets in there that might benefit from that. Change Your Heart, just a nice little one if you do need that tribute to get the one of the higher level ones out. And that is the main deck. No traps in this particular build. Moving on to the extra deck. Like I say, this is a bit of a hodgepodge of machine monsters, some of which will work with, you know, some monsters, some of them won't. But we've got enough. You might be able to get all the links on there. So, got Platinum Gadget, as we mentioned before. My go-to link to, of course, though, the Nightmare Phoenix, and to go with that, a Nightmare Unicorn. Borrowcode Dragon is the first time I played that monster in a deck as well. Topologic Trisbane to go with Topologic Bomber Dragon. And last but not least is a 5-headed Link Dragon as well. Just because of all the different attributes that are available for you. So, I mean, it's got all the desired sort of requirements on there to get it summoned. I can't imagine it's going to be summoned an awful lot. But the options are there, like I say. So that's the Link lineup. And then there is an Xyz lineup as well, just going up in rank. So we've got Gear Gigant X. This card has been sat in my collection many years and I've never had reason to use it. So we've decided to give it a whirl, see if it goes on. We've also got Springen's Merrymaker, which obviously is primarily there to make these, which one is it now? Gigantic Champion Sargas, which we'll get to in a minute, but just to continue with the rank 4s, there's also a number 27 Dreadnoid. Of course, there's a rank 8, so Dingirasu is an obvious machine choice as well. There's the Gigantic Champion Sargas. And we've also got the Springen Ship X-Blower, I think it is. But just to line the monster lineup, machine lineup, of course, we've also got Gustav Max and Lieb as well. So there's a full lineup of proper machine XYZ monsters there. Guys, that's it for the whole deck. Thank you very much. I'm sure there's holes in this deck, and I'm sure there's some people that are going to play this deck better than I can. This is just my sort of initial build. I'd love to hear the comments. Do keep them coming, and you know, whether they're constructive, whether they're criticisms. I do like to hear. Make sure, because if someone tell me where I've gone wrong and I don't know that I've gone wrong, it's nice for someone to tell me, because then I can obviously make amendments to my build. But as it happens, I really enjoy putting this one together. It's never going to be the most competitive deck in the whole world, but it's really good fun to play when I have been doing my testing. Signing out, guys. Thank you very much indeed once again. Keep the subscriptions coming, keep the likes coming, and more importantly, keep the comments coming. Speak to you soon. Bye.